Alright, dear students, so we continue with our series of video lectures amid this coronavirus outbreak, shutdown or lockdown here in Bangladesh. We were doing chapter 15 of Cambridge O-level syllabus. The subject code is 5090. In the last lecture I mentioned that it was lecture number 5 and it was the last lecture, but the topic is huge, and especially these discussions that we are going to have today requires a bit of time and discussions and some explanations with examples. So what I've decided is to extend the lecture series. So the previous lecture, which was regarding the malarial parasite, that was lecture 5, along with carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle and all that. This will be lecture number 6 and hopefully the last lecture of the series. Here we discuss about how humans are affecting the environment, how humans are destroying or having an effect on the ecosystem. It is due to us that is leading to different pollutions in the environment. So we are going to discuss about water pollution. We are going to discuss about air pollution and habitat destruction, along with species destruction, and we have to touch on all these points individually. So we have to, when we talk about water pollution, we are going to talk about toxic chemicals, eutrophication process, which comes very often in your exam, oil spills with examples, international and national examples. We have many of them. Air pollution is damage to ozone layer, global warming and acid rain due to sulfur and oxides of nitrogen. Deforestation, loss of wetlands is in habitat destruction. Species destruction, you have loss of habitat, damage from pesticides, damage from fishing, overfishing, that is, or overgrazing. So that is the topic of discussion for today, and here it's broadly written about what's happening actually. So this is a table, example is given of what an air pollution, the damage and habitat destruction, and the burning of fossil fuels and all these things. So again, like all lectures, if you need to take down the notes, pause the video or stop the video momentarily and then take down the notes, and we can proceed. So this is about the examples, and we have next water pollution and then species destruction, the things that we were saying earlier, oil spills from shipwreck and leakages from undersea wells and all that. There was a famous example from undersea wells. It was near the coast of Florida, British Petroleum, BP. So there was a problem with undersea well, oil well, and it had to be completely shut off. The company had billions of dollars in damages, and they had to pay compensation to the government because of the destruction to the environment. And once these pollution and species destruction everything is over, we talk about reasons for recycling. What are the reasons for recycling? So we are going to go step by step. Individually, we're going to discuss all the pollutions. So stay tuned. Alright, so let's begin our today's lecture number 6, and we start with the human effects on the ecosystem. So first we start with deforestation, how deforestation is having an effect, or how deforestation is actually occurring due to human civilization and human interference. So we start with the heading, effects of man on the ecosystem. So and we start with deforestation. So we start with deforestation. What is actually deforestation? So deforestation is the clearing of an area of trees and any other habitat or any other particular living organisms or plants and plant-like structures over there. So clearing of large areas of forests. So it is the clearing of large areas of a forest. And why do we do this? We do it for a lot of reasons. We do it because for timber, for cultivation or agriculture, and for construction, making paper, firewood, for construction or furniture, for firewood, and etc. So this is the reason why we do deforestation, or why we actually need trees. So when you cut down trees for all these purposes, you are in effect causing deforestation. Now, what is the effects of deforestation? So when deforestation actually is taking place, so next we learn about the effects of deforestation. Now I am explaining this in a very in a systematic manner. I require you to take down the notes, and there is a flow to it, so it really helps you to study point wise. So pinpoint, everything is discussed in pinpoint fashion, so that it helps you to study properly and even memorize. So effects of deforestation, well, number one effect is on soil. Deforestation causes soil, it causes soil erosion, and it has effects on water retention. So water retention, because deforestation tends to increase flooding. Deforestation tends to increase flooding as water is not held up by roots. Well, you don't have trees, so how will the water be held up by the roots? So write all this down in a systemic manner, and then I'm going to write the next one. So this is on water retention, and then on climate. So number 3 of water retention, number 2 was water retention, number 3 is on climate. So obviously if you're cutting down trees, then you are actually tampering with the water cycle, as plants causes transpiration and loss of water, and there is a cycle going on. the water is sucked up by the roots and then it's released into the atmosphere, and then that's how clouds form as well. So plants do play a significant role in that. So on climate, it tends to decrease rainfall. So it tends to decrease rainfall, and tends to decrease rainfall and a drier climate. Point number 4 is on local human population. On local human population. Well, what does it do to the local human population? Well, the thing is, initially deforestation provides jobs related forest activities such as logging and timber, but these come to an end when the forests are gone. So forests are cleared away, and that becomes a problem because the people that were dependent on the logging and the timber industry, so they are hampered, they are disturbed, their lifestyle and jobs are at risk. So on local human population, population was dependent on jobs in the timber and paper industry. So this is one way. Deforestation affects homes of local people who find it difficult to survive outside the forest environment. So they find it difficult to survive outside the forest environment. And finally, destroys natural habitats. Deforestation leads to the destruction of natural habitats, leads to the destruction of natural habitats. Of organisms living in the forest. So organisms that are living whole habitats and entire populations are getting destroyed. So this was about deforestation and everything that you need to know about deforestation. Next we discuss about the pollution.
But before we move on to air pollution, let's look at a video on deforestation.
There's no question that deforestation leaves the balance of humanity and the balance of the planet poorer and more impoverished. It's a short-term economic gain that benefits few at the expense of the many. Deforestation is the practice of cutting down forests for various different reasons, but it's fundamentally cutting down trees and leaving behind a vast open wasteland. Deforestation is most common in countries like Brazil, Indonesia, and Mexico, Papua New Guinea, and Russia. The main causes of deforestation can be classified into three categories. Basically, industrial uses, chopping down the forest to build factories or to build residential areas. The second one is agriculture, so cutting down forests in order to grow, for example, palm oil plantations. Agricultural deforestation can also be caused by non-food crops, for example, pulp and paper plantations. And the third cause is livestock. So in many places, for example, in Brazil, deforestation is caused by farmers clearing the land to create pasture land for cows. Deforestation can happen on a lot of different scales. It can be anything from illegal squatting, a dozen folks in a local village using small rudimentary chainsaws and cutting down the trees. And then, of course, on the other end of the spectrum is massive industrial scale deforestation, where they bring in lots of heavy machinery, very advanced technology, and they can go in and clear forests in a very short amount of time. Deforestation affects the environment in two main ways. Trees, of course, absorb carbon dioxide, and as human beings put more and more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, the more trees we cut down, the more we hinder the ability of the planet to balance how much carbon is in the atmosphere. But another impact of chopping down forests is, of course, reducing the habitat for animals to live in. Every year, over 1,000 different species go extinct around the world. That is a conservative estimate, and a big chunk of that happens because of deforestation.
And in South America tonight, an environmental problem of a much greater magnitude. The destruction
of the Amazon rainforest.
A worldwide disaster.
In the 1980s, the world learned that the Amazon was in danger.
Trees are falling at a startling rate.
77,000 square miles of
An area twice the size of Belgium.
the size of New York State.
The size of California disappears.
And why it was so important to save it.
1/5
The oxygen we breathe.
20% of
world's fresh water
half of the species of life on Earth is in these forests.
is an ecosystem the entire world needs for its survival.
By the 1990s, it seemed like it was too late.
The destruction accelerates.
More than twice as fast as previously believed.
Virtually impossible to control.
Once it is gone forever.
Then something changed.
The annual destruction rate of the Amazon rainforest has dropped
by 70%, the lowest rate of deforestation since records began.
Amazon could achieve the end of deforestation, a huge accomplishment.
But in order to keep it safe, there was one condition.
Protecting the forest is a continual process. Brazil will need to stay vigilant.
But it didn't.
The Amazon is burning.
consumed by fire.
Fires have been raging.
Thousands of fires are blazing.
More and more trees are cut down.
Deforestation of the Amazon rainforest hit its highest rate in a decade.
Today, the Amazon is being destroyed all over again. The question is, can it be saved this time?